Hello, welcome back to the Grindhouse. I'm Pepe Iannucci and this is William Atherton, and we're here going to discuss the Fitch versus Hendricks fight, which is on UFC 141. So with this fight then, we've got Fitch returning after I think a 10-month absence since he fought BJ Penn to a draw. He's been off for 10 months and I think he's torn his rotator cuff, so he's having that all injured up. He's an interesting fighter, John Fitch. You know, he's won his last 9 fights via decision. He's not always the most must-see fighter, but he's always in that top 10. He's beat everyone. I mean, if GSP wasn't there, he'd be the champ.
Has to be, yeah, definitely.
But he's always going to struggle to get himself that title shot because he's just not that exciting a fighter. So what are the odds looking at like on Fitch for this one?
They're heavily favouring Fitch, rightly so. I think you're looking at about 1 to 5 for Fitch to win. Let me just check that's right.
So he looks like he's the favourite, Fitch.
Just less than 1 to 2, sorry, not 1 to 5, I did the wrong fight. But yeah, he's definitely the favourite, and you get in a bit better than 2 to 1 for Johnny Hendricks to win. Depending on what site you're on, I've been looking at a few, I think you can find it a little bit better than that, but definitely favouring Fitch heavily, and I definitely see why.
I mean, Hendricks is not as well known as Fitch, but let me just tell you, he's a 4-time All-American wrestler, and he's a 2-time NCAA champion. So he has better credentials on paper than Fitch, much better. He's a fantastic wrestler. The thing that you might want to look at is they both fought Mike Pierce, and Fitch did his normal thing, you know, normal way of winning, ground him out and won the match that way. And Hendricks used the clinch to great effect and got a controversial split decision, but his clinch was solid and he controlled the game. And that last fight was at UFC 133, I believe. So it's going to be a close fight because they're both wrestlers. Okay, so everyone's going to have the idea that Fitch is the stronger wrestler, but on paper, Hendricks is a very strong wrestler. So, I mean, the decision when the Hendricks might not be a bad bet, would you say?
I don't think. I think there's good bets there. Hendricks, I saw him against Kyle Prisian, was it?
Oh yeah.
Landed some vicious strikes in that fight. He's got power, got knockout power. Fitch, has he been knocked out before in a few of his losses?
So long, yeah, it's so long since he lost the fight. I'm trying to think how he lost it.
But Hendricks, he has got vicious power considering he was a wrestler, so you can definitely knock him out. And for a knockout, you get an 11 to 2. So for a £10 bet, £65 back on him. If you favour Hendricks, or you think a bit of ring rust, or
yeah, Fitch been out for 10 months.
Yeah, so Hendricks, like you say, he's a powerful wrestler. He's a good wrestler. Can Fitch work his game against that good wrestler, and is Hendricks' clinch? If you can land some big strikes from there, I don't think a KO is very likely, but a TKO definitely.
It's possible. I mean, let's talk about Fitch's game. I mean, he's going to try and grind him up against the cage and work that takedown. I mean, Fitch is not the most athletic guy, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the strongest guy, but that guy is so determined. That's how he grinds the opponent down and gets the takedown eventually. And when he's down there, he'll work inside the guard, he'll be always trying to constantly pass that guard. And when the other guy's underneath trying to get up, he will punch him in the mouth a few times, you know, and he'll just wear the guy down, he'll nullify the jiu-jitsu with the strikes, and he'll keep the guy down to the floor. And that's the one thing not to forget about with John Fitch. And with Hendricks, I mean, I assume his game plan's probably going to be to try and keep it standing. I mean, like I said, Fitch isn't that fast.
Yeah.
He's a little bit slow. He's vulnerable to the counter punch and the counter strike. And Hendricks will probably looking to keep it standing. And if he can get into the second and third round, and as we've seen, Fitch can slow down a little bit on his feet, he might be able to catch Fitch and win the fight that way. So there's some things to think about while you look at the bets. Can you give us any more stats on some of the bets we might want to make on this fight?
Yeah, there's a few more. I favour Fitch by decision. I just think to go 20 fights and lose to the only guy you've lost to is, in my opinion, the pound for pound best fighter in the world, GSP, and to draw against BJ Penn, I just don't think Hendricks he hasn't faced them names, and he hasn't fought anyone like Fitch. And I just think Fitch, like I say, he's going to grind him out, in my opinion. So for that, you're getting evens for him to win by decision, and considering he's heavily favoured, again, the bookies are giving good odds on these decision victories in this UFC. So for a tenner, you get 20 good bet. You're going to double your money if you think Fitch takes it by decision. I think that's a solid bet. Again, you could Fitch by knockout or TKO, you get 13-2. So a tenner gets you £75 back on that. That's an interesting bet. It is a tough one.
It is an interesting bet because, like you say, I think Fitch is going to be too much for Hendricks in this fight. He's not as experienced. I know he's got the credentials in wrestling, but Fitch is getting good at setting up these takedowns with strikes. He's getting a little bit better at that, and I think he's going to shock Hendricks with his determination. So, I mean, that is an obvious bet there, Fitch by decision. But you never know. Maybe, just hope that Fitch might want to come out and put on a show for us, and maybe finish the guy by TKO. If we can just pick up his strikes on the ground and finish the guy, maybe TKO could be the way to do it.
There, hasn't he? And if you look through his fights, well, you don't go through winning them guys if you haven't got good strikes, or if you haven't got the BJJ game. I think he's just some fighters they don't like to take risks.
No, I mean, unfortunately, Fitch said, let's go back to some of his fights.
Yeah.
Most of you out there with your box sets and stuff, you probably won't be watching the Fitch fights because they're boring. You fast forward them. There's nothing happening in the fights. He's taking him down. He's and he's grinding the guy out, and that's what's going to happen. But maybe an outside bet could be a bet on Fitch to win via.
I'd like to see it. I think it's possible. I'd like to see it. It's one of those things, and I think that division is so stacked now that you need to put on a show, don't you? You need to get your name out there, and the fans need to want to see you fight if he wants to get himself in the title contention again. So if he's got that in mind, comes out, he's got the strikes if he can, or even if he works his clinch game just a bit more aggressively, or rather than pure wrestling, if he just tries to throw a few strikes and could rock him a little bit. I think there might be money to be made there. It's definitely a risky bet, but the odds are good enough to give you the reward for that risk.
Yeah, so to warrant it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of our predictions for the main fights on the card. Join us for the next instalment of the video for our little super bet, this little extra bet, which
I think, come back and hopefully be able to make some good money, and we'll explain why.
Thank you. Bye.